Kia ora, g'day, I'm Philip Duncan from Weather Watch TV on YouTube with your 7-day Australia-only forecast and 7-day rainfall outlook. There's a lot to talk about in our video today, so let's get started with our animated wind map and air pressure map. So the darker shading shows low pressure, that's why we've got this big storm south of Tasmania, and the brighter shading shows this big high southwest of Perth. So between the high and the low, both south of Australia, that's why you're getting this windier, cooler southwesterly coming through. Now that's a bit more westerly around Tassie, and it's stronger there as well where most of the rain is falling. Elsewhere, not a lot to really talk about. So on Friday, this is how we look into the afternoon. Tassie still caught up in these strong gale force westerlies. Now they might even be severe gale in some areas. Heavy rain on the west coast and windy weather obviously all around the coastal parts of South Australia coming into Victoria on that side. But elsewhere, not a lot going on. Few showers around Queensland, some bubbling up inland, others coastal. Won't be a huge amount though for the most part. And a few showers to the very northwest of Australia up around the Northern Territory and Kimberly. Otherwise, really not a lot to talk about on Friday. A couple of main centres, Burnie in the northern part of Tassie. You got a high of 12, a low of 8. Windy weather with those showers blowing through. And Kingscote, I hope I got that. I hope I said it properly. On Kangaroo Island, you've got windy weather kicking in for you as well. 17 your high, 9 the low, and a couple of showers for you around Kangaroo Island on Friday. So going into Saturday, let's have a look at the big picture. Why is it so windy around Tassie for the last few weeks or several weeks? Mostly due to these enormous storms south of Australia and going around Antarctica. 954 hectopascals, a lot of them have been down to the 940s, 930s, and so that's very low air pressure. Those of you in northern Australia would recognize air pressure like that from tropical cyclones and the big tropical cyclones. So these are really big storms. Now they're mostly staying stuck down around Antarctica, but that is the reason why you got these westerlies howling through Bass Strait over the top of Tassie, and the risk of severe weather still around for Friday and Saturday. Other features on Saturday, a couple of very weak areas of low pressure, one around Brisbane, the other one around Port Hedland. So Port Hedland, you got downpours on Saturday, a high of 32, a low of 22. Jump over to the other side, and Ipswich, which is near Brisbane, showers for you, 28 the high, 12 the low. Let's go into Sunday now, and those downpours around Western Australia intensify. So if you're in the Kimberly or the Pilbara, you'll be seeing those downpours getting heavier as we go through into the afternoon and evening. Watch out for possible flooding. It doesn't look like a major event, but you never know with some of these downpours. They can be quite heavy if they get stuck in the same place. Elsewhere around Australia, really not a lot to talk about. Big portion of Queensland and New South Wales, very dry. Only a few showers here for parts of South Australia into Victoria, basically between Adelaide and Melbourne. A couple of showers around there. But it is once again Tasmania in the thick of it with those westerlies blowing and the heavy rain over on the west coast. Let's go to Monday now. More of those downpours around parts of Western Australia, spilling over a wee bit into the Northern Territory and the very northwestern corner here of South Australia. Otherwise, not a lot of energy going on around the rest of Australia. The westerlies carry on for Tasmania with a bit of west coast rain, but it's pretty much dry and settled elsewhere. In fact, remarkably dry around Queensland and New South Wales. It's been a long time since we've seen such a dry map, even though many of you have not had a lot of rain. There's been plenty of coastal showers, and they've cleared away as we kick off next week. So on Monday, a couple of places to keep an eye on. Canberra, cold when you wake up, 2, 3, 4 degrees in the morning, warms up to 20 degrees by afternoon. And a little further up the road, up around Dubbo in New South Wales, equally as cold to start with, 2, 3, 4 degrees, but you warm up to 27. So sunny skies certainly on the way for much of New South Wales as we go off the start of next week. So Tuesday, that wet weather on the western half of Australia now drifts further into central areas. Fair bit of low pressure sinking in these areas. That creates more instability, increases the chance of those afternoon and evening downpours. But we've also got a southerly being injected into it. So northerlies coming in from the Northern Territory, southerlies coming in from the southern coastline, and that's going to help spark some heavier rain for you. So on Tuesday, Esperance, you've got a high of 16 degrees, a low of 10, windier with showers, and you go further inland around Alice Springs, 24 your high, 13 the low, also showers. But if you're on the eastern side, those northerlies come down from Queensland over New South Wales, down to Victoria, down to Tasmania. But into Wednesday, it is a bit of a change. If you're in Tassie, you go from those northerlies now to wintry southerlies. Heavy rain comes in on Wednesday to the west coast and to the south coast. Strong to severe gale southerlies come into Tasmania, and then a dusting of snow. And then all of that moves further into Victoria and into the ACT. Overnight Wednesday, bringing snow again to the Alps and a change in temperatures. You've got these windy, warm to hot nor'westers ahead of it for Queensland and a big portion of New South Wales. Then that front comes in, everything changes. Some rain for Adelaide as well, not very much for Perth. The heaviest rain here though, coming into central Australia and the northern half of South Australia. Some populated areas there are likely to get a bit of rain. And we go through to Thursday, we've got a weak area of low pressure close to Alice Springs. That will continue more of those downpours spilling over into remote parts of Queensland. Maybe a few more populated places here getting a few showers later on. But that southerly is moving its way up into coastal parts of New South Wales. Turns around into maybe more of an easterly for inland areas, but the temperatures do drop from where you are at the moment. And that rain moves into Sydney, moves further up to Newcastle, Port Macquarie, and then later on by Thursday night into Friday morning, it's Brisbane's turn to get that southerly change coming through with a temperature drop. So this is the departure from normal rainfall. In other words, how much rain is coming compared to normal for this time of the year over the next week, and plenty of this dark blue showing 600, 700, 800%. Now keep in mind, some of these desert areas don't get rain at this time of the year, so it doesn't take a lot to boost it up well above average, and that's why you're seeing those big dark blue areas. But it is worth noting that the amount of rain that's on its way, and here it is, the next 7 days actual rainfall, shows in some of these central parts of Australia, especially here in the eastern side of Western Australia, we're talking about up to 100 millimetres of rain. In some cases, that's getting up to nearly half your annual rainfall falling in just the next few days. So some heavy rain coming through, it'll be welcome, I'm sure. And in the southeastern corner, rain in the coastal areas, maybe around the Melbourne zone, it's a bit hit and miss. To the east here, it's showing 40 millimetres for Victoria. To the west, 5. So don't get your hopes up if you need rain, and if you don't want rain, hopefully this is not too much for you. But the bulk of it over here on the west coast of Tassie, where you've got 100 to 150 millimetres there, but don't be fooled, the blue shading on the eastern side, only 1 to 5 millimetres. So very much in that rain shadow with most of the rain on the western side. The place of the day on Flight Sim, or the place of the week, Maitland, New South Wales on the Hunter River, in the Hunter Valley. Not a surprise that from time to time the rain gets squeezed into the valley, into that river, has caused some flooding for you in the past. But the population, 90,000, just 3 metres above sea level, so not surprising that you do get flooding issues from time to time. Temperatures over the next week are pretty good, 24 to 30 degrees. Welcome to the start of summer, I guess. And sunny weather on the way for the next 7 days. The next chance of rain looks to be next Thursday, with a few showers. Beautiful spot. I'm yet to visit the Hunter Valley, but I can't wait to get to the Hunter region at some point in the near future. And before I go, this is a great website to follow. Terrible Maps. You can find them on Facebook and Twitter, X. Follow them at Terrible Maps. They do some really funny stuff all around the world, some very clever jokes, and they focus on Australia and New Zealand quite a bit. And I saw this meme the other day and I just had to put it up and share it with you because of the feedback I get from you guys about the coverage in Australia, about your weather, and how it tends to be a little bit like this. The weather forecasts tend to focus on Australia as if this is what it looked like. You might have noticed with me, I don't talk as much about the main centres. I'm not trying to ignore you, but I do the same in New Zealand. It's not about the main centres, it's about where the weather is tracking and changing the most and where the severe weather is. Sometimes it's in places where no one lives, and that's part of the forecast. But I thought this was kind of a funny meme, and I really hope that you as the viewers notice that we don't tend to do it like this. We look at Australia as it is on the map and we track where the rain is, which means sometimes in the main centres like Sydney, we're not talking about you for a few weeks. But when the weather does really matter there, that's when I can do a focused video on the main centres and know that I'm not just doing it because that's where everyone lives. But actually, a lot of the people that need the weather the most live out here in the middle of, well, the middle of the sea, according to this map. So please do have a look at terrible maps. Follow them on social media. You'll get a good laugh, especially if you're into geography. That's all from me. Have yourselves a great weekend. We'll catch you again next week.